Hi YouTube. This is a video about moving and mobilizing the spine. I posted a video a few days ago about moving and mobilizing the neck, and if you haven't watched that video, I recommend that you do, and it will make this video more clear. So I'm going to begin standing, and I'm going to show a few ways of moving that appear to move the spine, but don't really. And I'm going to begin with the shoulders. This is my right shoulder. And if I turn my right shoulder in and move it forward, so my shoulder blade is spread across the back and I've internally rotated the ball and socket joint, and I pull the opposite, the left shoulder blade back, and externally rotate that shoulder, it appears as though I've made a spinal twist. But all I've actually done is move my shoulder blades and shoulder joints. I'll return to neutral. On the opposing side, if I spread or protract the shoulder blade on the left and internally rotate that shoulder, and then retract or draw towards the spine the shoulder blade on the left, and externally rotate, turn outwards that ball and socket, I've again moved the shoulders, but I haven't actually mobilized the spine. Not moving the spine, just moving the shoulders. Another way to look like you're moving the spine but to not actually is to elevate the shoulder blades. And so if I lift the right shoulder blade and depress the left shoulder blade, it appears as though I've entered a bit of a side bend. But I haven't moved the spine very much, I've just moved the shoulders. The right went up, the left went down. If I extend the arms, it exaggerates. On the second side, if I lift the left shoulder and depress the right shoulder, again it appears as though I've made a side bend, but I haven't actually moved my spine. I'll bring the left arm upwards and pull the right arm downwards a bit more to exaggerate the way that looks. And so all of that was just moving the shoulders, and it appeared as though I was moving the spine. And sure, the spine moved a little bit, but it was not the main movement that was happening, and my core did not engage. The other thing that happens is in the hips. And so it's possible and common when people go to twist the spine, what they actually do is they move their hips. And so I've taken my right hip forward and my left hip backwards. That has a bit of an external rotation in the thigh on the left and an internal rotation on the right. And if I palpate my abdomen, you can see that both sides of the abdomen are soft. I'll do the other side. I'll take my left frontal hip bone forward, my right frontal hip bone back. Again, there's a little bit of rotation happening in the thighs, although it's not the primary movement. And if I demonstrate on the abdomen is soft on both sides. I'm going to sit down now and demonstrate actually moving the spine. In a seated position, whether you're seated on the floor or in a chair, the buttock bones are in contact with the floor, or the sits bones, or the ischial tuberosity. Many names for that anatomy structure, anatomical structure. And so I'm going to touch my fingertips together. And what that does is it makes a hole between the center of my palms. And I'm going to keep that hole aligned with my breastbone. And as I rotate, this is still in line, the right side of the abdomen gets firm, the left side of the abdomen gets soft. I come back to center. I'll rotate to the right now. The left side of the abdomen got firm, the right side of the abdomen got soft. That means that I was using the muscles that are responsible for, in this case, rotating the spine to rotate the spine. And so those muscles engaged, it pulled on the bones, and it rotated my torso. Again, to the left, firm on the right, soft on the left. And if I go to the right, firm on the left, soft on the right. I'll stand up again. So now, if I think about not letting my hips move, and I rotate to the left, right? And my right frontal hip bone feels as though it's moving backwards, so it's not moving forward. Then the right side of my abdomen gets firm. The left side gets soft. And on the opposing side, if I twist to the right and think about that left frontal hip bone moving back in space a little bit, the left abdomen got very firm, but the right abdomen is soft. Coming to a seated position again, I'll show a side bending movement of the spine. So I'm going to use my left elbow and my left knee as reference points. And if I bring the elbow towards the knee, what's happened is that the left side of the abdomen and spine has gotten short and a little firm. The right side is lengthened and it's gotten a little soft. I'll come through the center. Right elbow to the right knee. The right abdomen got firm. The left abdomen is soft. I'll do those exercises in a more fluid manner, and then we'll start to combine these exercises. So if I rotate towards my left, I can come forward. Forward is called flexion. I'll come through the center and then upwards. And then I rotate to the right. We did this with the neck in the previous video. Coming forward through the center and up. Coming forward, over time, it's possible to train the six-pack muscles. So far, I've been demonstrating my oblique muscles, the side abdomen, and how they engage and relax as I move the spine. That when you come forward in the spine, that's like doing a sit-up. My core is somewhat well trained, and so that when I come forward on this plane, the center of my abdomen gets firm, the sides of my abdomen get soft, and so my six-pack muscles are engaging. But this shape in the spine, if I show it here, you see that the spine is rounded. So the muscles in the front, the six-pack muscles that go from the pubic bone to the costal arch, it would be called. Many people call this the base of the rib cage, but technically costal arch and flare of the ribs. You get short in the front and long in the back. I'll keep this arm out of the way. Short in the front, long in the back. That is the anatomical equivalent as though I was sitting up. And most people will understand that with a sit-up, the center abdomen will firm, and for some, the side abdomen will soften. For some, the side abdomen stays firm. It just depends on how the obliques are trained. And so it's possible over time to teach the spine that when it goes forward into flexion, the six-pack muscles, the rectus abdominis, the center abs, will engage. And that gets the back muscles to release. That there's a nerve reflex in the body that says when one muscle engages, its opposing muscle is told to relax. And it's easy to understand that with the bicep muscle, or with the arm. That when the elbow bends, the bicep is pulling, the bicep gets firm, and then the tricep, which also crosses the elbow, the back of the arm, has to lengthen and relax so that the elbow bends. And the opposite, when the elbow straightens, the tricep is pulling and it's shortening, and the tricep gets firm and the bicep gets soft. It is possible to make the bicep and the tricep firm at the same time, and that's what's called a bandha. And I'll make another video on bandhas later. But when you can turn what's called the agonist, the primary mover, the main muscle responsible for bending the elbow is the bicep. And the antagonist in this case, the muscle that has to relax for the elbow to lengthen, the tricep. So agonist, antagonist. When you get the agonist and antagonist to engage at the same time, you turn them into synergists, and it creates a bandha, which can often be seen as a hollowness in the joint. So the pit of my elbow has recessed as I engage the bicep and tricep simultaneously. A bit of a tangent, but useful. So rotating to the right, forward. Right? When that happens, the center of my abdomen gets firm, the left side is very firm and the right side is very soft. And so in addition to mobilizing the spine, over time, these exercises can be used to reprogram the core muscles and teach them to fire. And if you want to make a muscle stronger or you want to make a muscle bigger as you exercise it, you have to be able to get that muscle to contract. If you can't consciously contract that muscle, and that includes with movement, in this case I use the example of bending the elbow to engage the bicep. If that doesn't happen, say I bent my elbow and the bicep stayed soft and flaccid, it would be very difficult for me to make this muscle stronger with exercise. And that you have to create that brain to muscle connection through the nervous system first before the muscles will get stronger and grow. Now with the side bending. This is right elbow towards right knee. I come through the center, that makes the six-pack firm, and I lift up. Left elbow, left knee, come through the center, and lift up. If I demonstrate here, right abdomen is firm, left abdomen is soft. As I come through the center, it'd be difficult to see, but center abdomen is firm, side abdomen is soft. Final time on the left. Now I'll combine these movements. And again, we did this in the neck video, so if you haven't seen the neck video, I think it's useful. Because anything the neck can do, the spine can do, more or less. And it's usually easier for people to learn how to rotate their head, or to side bend their head, or to rotate and side bend their head, than it is to learn with the spine. And so if you learn the neck, then you can learn the spine as a whole. Neck is a mini spine. So here, if I side bend to the right, and then I'm going to rotate to the left, and that furthers the action of strengthening the abdomen on the right side, relaxing the abdomen on the left, and I feel more lengthening sensation through the side of my torso, and because I'm sitting cross-legged, I feel it through the side and kind of front of the hip. That I'll make a video down the line of doing these spinal movements in a number of seated positions, which can be a great way to get the hips to open. Left elbow, left knee. This is a rotation to the right. Right side of the abdomen gets soft, especially if I think about softening it. Left side of the abdomen is quite firm, coming through the center and upwards. Again, right elbow, right knee, twisting to the left. This time I'll reach the left arm overhead and I'll extend the right arm further. I'll reach with the right arm further to the left, coming through the center and up. Left elbow to left knee, twisting to the right. The right arm reaches up and overhead, and the left arm reaches further to the right, and that enhances the movement. The reason that enhances the movement is because what I showed in the beginning. I showed that if I lift a shoulder and drop a shoulder, it creates a pseudo or faux side bend. If I turn one shoulder in and turn the other shoulder out, it creates a faux twist. And so it's possible that once I've used the muscles responsible for moving the spine, in this case mostly my core muscles, although there are some muscles, some subtle muscles close to the spine itself that are responsible for those actions. So shorten on the right, lengthen on the left, twist further to the left, and then now that my core muscles have taken me to this position, I can exaggerate the movement by lifting the shoulder, dropping the other shoulder, and then reaching the right arm towards the left. I'll do that on the second side. Lifting the right shoulder and the right arm, right? The cap of my shoulder is touching my right ear, so the shoulder blade has lifted. I drop the left shoulder blade and then reach the left shoulder to the right. It's like the icing on the cake. Using your core muscles to move the spine is the cake itself, but then enhancing that by turning a shoulder in and pulling the other shoulder back You've maybe seen someone grab a knee here and then pull, right? That's the equivalent of taking the shoulder forward. And then if they bind, that's the equivalent of taking the other shoulder back. And so it's important to know why you might be doing something. So I can reach with this shoulder, pull the other shoulder back, that increased my twist. And then I don't do a whole lot of this, but it is possible to use now my arm and shoulder muscles to pull. And then if I come behind the back and bind and pull further, that did make a deeper twist. And that's safe in my body because my core muscles started the movement. My core got me 75% of the way there. And then I put a little icing on the cake. So the final combined movement is a rotation, in this case to the right, and I'm going to bring the opposite elbow towards the knee. And then I come through the center and up. Twisting left, my right elbow moves towards the left knee. Coming through the center and up. One more time, without the arms, and then I'll show with the arms. Twisting right, left elbow towards the right knee, in this case it lands on the shin. Coming through the center and upwards. Twisting to the left, right elbow towards the left knee. Now with the arms to exaggerate. Twisting to the right, left elbow towards the left knee. I reach with that left arm, and then I lift that right shoulder blade and reach that arm overhead. And it becomes akin to a twisting side angle pose or a twisting lunge. Twisting to the left, right elbow towards the left knee. Dropping the right shoulder and reaching that right arm further towards the left, lifting the left shoulder blade and reaching up and overhead. To review them all just once, rotate right, forward through the center, upwards. Rotate left, forward through the center, upwards. Side bend right, through the center, upwards. Side bend left, through the center, upwards. Side bend right, twist left, through the center, upwards. Side bend left, twist right, through the center, upwards. Twist right, left elbow towards the right knee, through the center and up. Twist left, right elbow towards the left knee, through the center and upwards. So this can be done seated on the floor in a cross-legged position, or it can be done seated in a chair, because the buttock bones in contact with the chair will also prevent the hips from moving. If you'd like to do this standing, it can be difficult with the feet hip width distance to prevent the hips from shifting. That takes a bit of conscious control and training. But if you separate the legs and come into what's commonly called a horse stance in martial arts, in the yoga world, I believe sometimes this is called a goddess stance. With the feet hip width apart, the thighs turned out, and the knees bent, it makes it very difficult to move my hips here. When I move my hips, you can see that it's my knees moving. Right? So that means that I could do these exercises in a horse stance. I could rotate to the right, come forward through the center, upwards. I could rotate left, forward through the center, upwards. Right elbow towards the right knee, through the center and up. Left elbow, left knee, through the center and up. The combined movements. Right elbow, right knee, twisting to the left, through the center and up. Left elbow, left knee, twisting right, through the center and upwards. Rotating to the right, left elbow towards that right knee. It's not going to get there, but it's trying. Through the center, upwards. Twisting left, right elbow towards the left knee. Again, it won't get there, but it's trying. Through the center and up. I'll show again with the arms, exaggerating the movements, and then I'll show how these turn into standing poses. Again, I find my horse stance. I could twist to the right. I could pull the right shoulder further backwards in the shoulder blade. I could reach the left arm and shoulder further to the right, and if I want to, I could take that arm behind the back and bind. If I pull, a little bit further of a twist through the center and up. Again, I don't really recommend pulling, I'm just showing that it's possible. And to make it look more like common yoga postures that are often bound. Twisting further to the left. And then I can reach that right arm towards the left, pull that left shoulder blade back, take it behind the back for a type of bind, and as I pull, I get a little bit of a deeper twist. Side bending, I'm going to lift and drop the shoulders. So I can bring the right elbow towards the right knee, pull the right shoulder down, lift the left shoulder up, and I can straighten the elbows, coming through the center and up. Left elbow, left knee, lifting the right shoulder, dropping the left shoulder. If I extend the elbows, makes it look deeper. Now I'll do the combined. Side bending, right elbow, right knee, twisting to the left. I'll drop the right shoulder and reach to the left. I'll lift the left shoulder and reach to the right, coming through the center and up. Side bending, left elbow, left knee, twisting right, dropping the left shoulder, reaching to the right, lifting the right shoulder, reaching up and overhead to the left, through the center and up. Final one. Rotating to the right, left elbow towards the right knee, I lift the right shoulder, I reach it up and overhead. I drop the left shoulder, I reach further to the right. And then finally, twisting left, right elbow towards the left knee, drop the right shoulder, reach to the left, lift the left shoulder, reach to the right. It's an overhead and right, coming through the center and up. It's a strong leg workout. So let me show very briefly how that might turn into some common standing asanas that you may have seen before. And tie this all together. I'll use side angle pose because, well, it really demonstrates these spinal movements. And it's perhaps my favorite standing asana. I'll enter it from the horse stance. And I'll use my spine first. So a side angle pose is a side bend, in this case to the right, and then a twist to the left. Okay. I'm going to start to shift this back foot. So it's starting to look like side angle pose. I'll bring my armpit towards my knee. That means I'm dropping the right arm. I'm lifting the left arm and shoulder. And then I twist a little bit more upwards towards the ceiling. I'll show that on the other side. So I begin with the spinal movement. Left elbow, left knee creates the side bend, twisting to the right. I'm going to maintain that. Nothing will change. Left abdomen is firm. Right abdomen is kind of soft. It's lengthened a lot. And the twisting, there's internal and external obliques. And so, anyways, this leg will straighten. I'll drop my left shoulder. I'll lift my right shoulder, and then I'll create the final turn and expand the belly and chest. Side angle pose. Once you know the directions of your asana, it's very easy to make a finished product. And so, piece by piece, you can learn how to mobilize the spine to get into these postures, and then it becomes second nature. And they just flow out of you. Let's show a twisting lunge. Twisting to the right, And I'm going to think about bringing that left elbow towards my right knee. I'm going to let my hip shift, but I still have my spinal twist. Now, if I drop the left shoulder, that means I'm bringing the left shoulder closer to the right knee. If I lift the right shoulder, taking it up and overhead. Twisting lunge, or twisting side angle pose. Coming through the center and up. Final demonstration. Twisting to the left. Right elbow is moving towards that left knee. I'm going to let my right hip shift here. And then if I drop the right shoulder and fold forward a little bit, that gets the right armpit and knee to connect. Right armpit, left knee. It's kind of like that pulling action. I can press the armpit into the knee, press the knee back into the armpit, lift the left shoulder up and overhead. A twisting lunge or a twisting side angle. Coming through the center and up. So the only spinal movement I didn't show much of today is spinal extension, and that's back bending of the spine. When we come up from the forward folding position, because gravity is trying to keep my body down, gravity wants to keep me here. And so when I lift up, the muscles on either side of the spine, the erector spinae or the paraspinals, do have to engage to pull me back upwards. So they are strengthening there. In the rotations and side bends, it's generally not a great idea to try to back bend the spine in a twist or a side bend. At some point, it is possible and even may have some benefits, but in the beginning, and even sometimes in the end for many people, that puts a lot of pressure on the back, on the spine, and it can pinch. The muscles can pinch, a nerve could pinch. It's side bending, back bending, twisting, back bending are very advanced spinal movements. And for many people, working with these simple twists, side bends, and flexion movements will get the core to start to fire and strengthen, which will make the back healthier over time, and then it can become cyclical, that as the core gets stronger, as the back gets more mobile, you can start to do deeper movements and ranges of motion with it. If you would like to strengthen the back and work with some back bending, I recommend Shalabhasana type poses. With babies, this is called tummy time. And the way human beings, the way we learn to use our extensor muscles, the muscles generally on the back side of the body, is that you put a baby on its stomach and they lift their head because they want to see what's around them. And babies have big heads proportional to the rest of them. And so I've lifted my head and I'm looking side to side, maybe looking up and down. And that's strengthening my neck. Then they start to do Shalabhasana or Superman movements. They start to raise their arms, they start to raise their legs, they might bend their limbs, they reach forward, right? That they start to do Shalabhasana, and that gets the hamstrings, the buttocks, and the back muscles to engage. And it's very useful for babies to get tummy time. It's required. And so even as an adult, it can be a way to retrain and strengthen our back muscles by doing some tummy time. Once babies get tummy time happening, they start to try to crawl. And crawling starts to strengthen the core muscles again. There's a pulling with the shoulders. There's a drawing the knee towards the abdomen. And if you don't believe me, crawl around for 5-10 minutes and feel your core the next day, and your core will be sore. And then they stand up and they strengthen the back muscles and the extensors again, and then they climb and they strengthen the core muscles again, and it is cyclical. Extensors, flexors, front, back. Learning to strengthen them and learning the coordination between the limbs. So I hope this video was useful and informative. There's a lot of information here. But if you take it bit by bit, you will have a very good understanding of how your spine moves and simple and effective ways to retrain and strengthen your core muscles. Thank you very much.